For the third year in a row, Thor is once again handing out magical steroids to some kids. This year, the Unlikely Friends banner features Tellius characters, and it isn't a huge surprise. Intelligent Systems has now featured all the characters that were in one of the fake weekly comics when Young Azura was released years ago. This was back when the comic wasn't even officially translated to English. Considering the pretty crazy power of the kids banner, a lot of people are guessing that next year it might be 3 houses. Maybe 3 hopes might mess it up if we get alts for its release, but young Edelgard with a knife is just something I wouldn't be surprised to see at this point. Let's focus on this year first though. This seasonal banner features young versions of Ilyana, Soren, Mia, and Duo Ike Mist. We'll go over everyone's stats and skills with some build ideas. This year our 4-star focus unit is going to be young Ilyana. She is available at 4-star or 5-star rarity. As a kid, this time Ilyana is a green infantry mage. For stats, she has 40 HP, 41 attack, 30 speed, 18 defense, and 42 res. She is basically like her regular blue form, and she has attack and res super boons. Res is very important for Ilyana, but her defense is pretty low. She does have a couple ways to boost her survivability though. For old skills, Ilyana has Glacius as her special, no surprise there. She has low attack and res 3, which is pretty good for a 4-star focus unit, and then attack and res gap to buff an ally. For her weapon, Ilyana has the Windy War Tome. This 14 tome grants 3 more res, so she has a whopping 45 res flat. If the foe initiates or has more than 75% HP, Ilyana inflicts -6 attack and res. She gets Dragon Wall 3, and if she has 5 or more res than the enemy, she prevents a follow-up attack. So, young Ilyana is taking Little Leon's spot as the tanky 4-star focus mage for this banner. She has 3 defensive perks and 2 res checks, both used in combat stats. She is actually kind of similar to Julius with his crazy refine, but Ilyana prevents a follow-up attack. Now, because she can use in-combat res stats for her 2 res checks, her -6 res buff already puts her over 50 effective res. Very tough to beat if you're building or if you're going to build full res stacking. With -6 attack and Dragon Wall's potential 40% damage reduction, Ilyana should be able to tank a physical damage hit. She even has fall prevention, although keep in mind her speed isn't super low like Little Leon. Of course, damage reduction won't save Ilyana from someone like young Innes, so be careful on the playground. Overall, like usual, the 4-star focus kid is pretty solid. If you want a super high res green mage that can also do some damage, then young Ilyana can fill that spot. With low attack and res, she inflicts -9 attack and res while neutralizing field boss, and if you don't want to build speed, then she can just take the quick repel Sacred Seal. Feel free to run a res boosting A skill like attack and res Unity or Mirror Stance 3. You can supplement this with things like attack and res Bond or Form, and you can run attack and res Oath or Joint Drive res in the season slot for personal combat. If you want to handle dragons, then Mystic Boost is an option, and you get some healing with that. If you want to proc a special, you pretty much just have Heavy Blade, although if Thor comes in to babysit her, Worldbreaker C skill can open up some other options like Glimmer. In general, Ilyana has very high res for her res checks, just with Windy War Tome, so if you want, you could invest in other things like speed flexibility. She can make a player phase initiation since she has damage reduction and fall prevention, but if you want more doubles of her own, then you're going to need some more speed skills. You could try something funky like speed and defense or speed and res ideal, or you could run solo skills. Urk can let you try speed and res solo in the A slot, and you can pick another solo seal. For other player phase skills, you could try attack and res menace or no follow-up, maybe a low speed variant. Just keep in mind, Windy War Tome is primarily an enemy phase weapon, and if you want the full res effects, you're going to have enough res over the enemy. If you just want to increase Ilyana's speed or maybe defense, then you may lose out against really high res foes. If you just stack pure res though, then Ilyana isn't a good spot to wall off any other mage. Fun little 4-star focus unit, although she does have to pick and choose what stats to invest in. Our next unit is young Soren with some top tier voice lines. This time Soren is going to be a colorless infantry mage, just needs a red mage ult to complete the collection. For stats, Soren also kind of follows his original stat spread: 36 HP, 42 attack, 34 speed, 16 defense, and 43 res. Ties for highest base res in the game and has very high base attack as well. On the flip side, Soren has some awful physical bulk with 36 base HP, that's pretty low. He does have HP and attack super boons though, but attack is probably the most important for him. Similar to Ilyana, Soren has some speed on him at the cost of no defense. He can use this to his advantage though. For old skills, Soren has Icebreaker as a special. He can empower it further with Mirror Impact and charge it up faster with Time's Pulse. Soren can do some nasty things to spam Iceberg often. In terms of his unique tome, the Adroit War Tome, this 14 weapon accelerates specials, and at start of combat, if Soren has more than 25% HP, he gets +6 attack and res during combat, and also does a res check with the enemy. If he has 1 or more res, he gets a free follow-up attack. 5 or more res, he gets a wind sweep minus the follow-up penalty. 10 or more res, and Soren reduces all non-special percent based damage reduction skills by 50%. So, There's a very strong tone if you meet the res checks. Soren ideally wants to have 10 or more res than the enemy, and this should include all in-combat res buffs. If this happens, he can prevent counterattacks from physical damage foes, which is extremely important for a 16 defense unit. He can even get a follow-up attack, which can offset wary fighter skills, and then Soren has enough speed to naturally double those really slow tanks. This means you don't necessarily have to run no follow-up, and faster units have to deal with the free double in some way. As for the halving of damage reduction skills like Dual Leaf, this won't affect specials, but being able to cut down everything else by half can be important for Soren. Like I mentioned, he can do some nasty things with Iceberg and maybe burst through damage reduction for a kill. Let's look at the general idea of Soren's base kit. First off, Iceberg's a 2 cooldown now, and Times Pulse is going to bring that to 1. If Soren initiates combat with a Droid War Tome and Mirror Impact, he has 59 res to do his res checks with, and I'll just say 60 res for simplicity. Against physical damage foes, Soren's going to block counterattacks and he's going to double. His first hit charges Iceberg, his second hit unleashes it, and this is a 60 res Iceberg, aka 30 damage. If you don't bring guard or block his double, you get hit by this combo. To make things worse, Soren has a free B slot and seal slot. For one, he could just slap in Quick Impulse and now you got a 30 damage nuke instantly. However, if you want to spam Iceberg every single fight, you can use Special Spiral. Once the first Iceberg procs, Soren instantly recharges it every single fight after. This is some nasty stuff, and he has damage reduction skills. It's a very good ability to have for a one-shot type playstyle, although it's mainly targeted at lower res units like dodge users. Against tanks, Soren's gonna need to keep his res high, although 60 res is pretty dang amazing out of the gate. One thing to keep in mind, while Wind Sweep is amazing for Soren, he will just get naturally wrecked by Ascended Fjorm thanks to Nelsie Disrupt and Ice Mirror double proccing. Additionally, dragons with adaptive damage are just gonna target Soren's garbage defense stat. You could solve this issue with Mystic Boost. Now, if you want, Soren can also run some speed skills, and he is much more offensive versus Ilyana's defensive kit. More speed means Soren might double even if a foe prevents his free follow-up attack, and things like low speed and res don't hurt to run anyway. You could go with Swift Sparrow or Blade Session, but it's not fully necessary. If you face speedy Swordmasters, Soren's not going to probably outspeed them anyway, so it might be better to just pre-charge a special, cut their damage reduction in half, and then try to blow them away that way. If you don't have premium B skills, then Sabotage Res is a great option. As for C skills, Tacrana's Menace can help with your res checks, and Pulse Smoke or any smoke would be nice, since Soren, when Soren attacks a physical damage unit, he won't get hit. Honestly though, it's just tough to get rid of Times Pulse, it's just so good. In general, I think Young Soren's a very nice unit. Being able to attack physical threats and double is great, and the Accelerate Specials plus Times Pulse kit is just fantastic fun. He has ways to get Iceberg ready for a nuke, and he can cut down damage reduction on both of his attacks. If you do attack a mage, then Soren's going to have 50 or 60 res with Mirror Impact to tank with, and then he also has a very interesting way to drop his defense but still fight physical damage foes safely. As a colorless mage, Soren can be quite scary to any unit. One of the best fire safe units in the game will just take his lunch money, but that's kinda expected. Third unit is going to be Young Mia, aka Mini Mia, or perhaps you prefer Mini Me. Mia is back to wielding a sword and is here to show her future self how it's done. Basically like Ascended Merida, this is just what Mia would be like if she was released in 2022. As an ever popular swordmaster, Mini Mia has 40 HP, 41 attack, 43 speed, 32 defense, and 27 res. That is very much a fast sword infantry stat line, and she has an attack super boon. She also has super banes in every other stat though, so if you only have one copy, then be prepared for that. No big surprises here, tied for fastest base speed among sword units and solid attack to go with it. For old skills, Mia has Dragon Fang and Odd Tempest for extra movement. She also has Flashing Blade 4, and I believe the OG Mia was the original holder of Flashing Blade 3, so we've come full circle. Mia's weapon is the Sharp War Sword, and it's indeed very pointy. It has 16 might, excited specials, and has the very interesting Phantom Speed 3 perk tacked on. If Mia has to compare speed stats, she gets plus 10 speed, but only for the calculation. Next, at start of turn, if Mia is within 2 spaces of an ally, she gets the no follow-up and dodge statuses for 1 turn. Last, if Mia initiates or is within 2 spaces of an ally, she gets plus 5 stats. While this is certainly a weapon, Accelerate Specials, no follow-up and dodge are key traits of a Swordmaster these days, and because Mia is so competitive, she even has Phantom Speed to challenge other speedsters. We always talk about speed creep, and while Phantom Speed isn't real usable speed, it's perfect for dodge damage reduction. If Mia has 60 total speed and the enemy Swordmaster matches Mia's 60 speed, she will still get the 40% dodge damage reduction thanks to Phantom Speed. She isn't going to double, but she benefits from dodge. Now, as a reminder, the no follow-up status has a speed check. Phantom Speed can help with this as well, but generally speaking, it's not really an issue in high-speed fights, and Mia should already proc it against slower units. The biggest thing for Mini Mia is that if you have to start the turn near allies, this is similar to Brave Marth if he wants his field buffs. It's not hard to do, but Mia can't be super solo every single turn. Mia also brings a new B skill line with her called Tempo. Speed and Defense Tempo 3 inflicts -3 speed and defense during combat. It then neutralizes effects that grant special cooldown charge plus X to foe or inflicts special cooldown charge -X on unit during combat. These effects are known as no guard and what I like to call no special charge. Important detail, Tempo B skills are inheritable by any infantry unit. This could be pretty good for archers and dagger units looking to run Deadeye or Lethality. No guard and no special charge I think first showed up on the Violet's Creator Sword. It's then been on some refines and new units, plus Beast Infantry got both of these effects added to their transformation bonus. Now, there is an inheritable option for everyone else. First off, Tempo Hard counters Special Fighter, which is always good. No guard does what it says, and no special charge makes it so Special Fighter users only get +1 charge instead of +2. It's not guard, but that is already key in stopping fast special charging builds. Combine Tempo with a no follow-up weapon, you get the Creator Sword. Use Tempo with a guard skill, and you straight up prevent the enemy from charging any specials. They would have to bring no guard themselves. One of my favorite skill combos can now be replicated with Surge Sparrow plus Tempo. This is what Brave Erica has in her kit, minus no special charge. For offense though, you're always going to get to charge your special, and that's really important for Surge A skill since you can then proc your special for % max HP healing. Last, if you have excited specials, Tempo, and then times Pulse, you're going to get to guaranteed double 2 cooldown special procs on initiations. This is exactly what Iris Refine enabled with the dreaded Ragnar Astra. You pre-charge a 1 cooldown special, your first hit procs it, the enemy hits you back, and with no guard, you guarantee 1 special charge. This recharges the special for a second proc in 1 round. It's really nasty, and you literally cannot stop it without outspeeding. Suffice to say, Tempo is a very interesting ability. It could technically be useless in some fights, but guard and extra special charge is just so common that it should be valuable in most battles. For Mia's base kit playstyle, she's looking to initiate. Dragon Fang will be on a 3 cooldown, and with 1 Flashing Blade proc, it's going to bring it down to 1. When the enemy counters her, she gets another +1 charge, and when she doubles, Dragon Fang is going to proc. Speed and Defense Tempo ensures guard doesn't mess with this combo. Odd Tempest provides longer engage range, and you can easily slap an attack and speed solo or blade session in the seal slot. Now, that is fine since Sharp Boar Sword gives no follow-up and dodge damage reduction, but it's pretty obvious that Mini Mia can also run Vital Astra. She has it on 1 cooldown, and with Times Pulse, it pre-charges it, which means you're going to get the 30% dodge damage reduction on Vital Astra. If you really want, Mia can triple stack dodge skills, and unlike Yen Fei, she will consistently have Vital Astra primed each player phase. Marita will pre-charge it every single fight though. You have to remember Phantom Speed is available, and it's a nod to Mia looking for a good challenge. If another Swordmaster type unit 1v1s her in the arena, even if they match speed, Mia could benefit from all of her dodge skills. With two 40% dodge abilities and Vital Astra's 30% damage reduction, Mia could have up to 75% damage reduction total for every hit. It's a little insane, and you don't even need to go there. Like we mentioned, the Tempo plus Times Pulse combo with Vital Astra can let Mia double proc it into guard. I have literally PTSD from Ira doing this back in year 1, and nowadays you have to outspeed to even stop this. With a 1 cooldown special, you don't need Flashing Blade, so feel free to run Surge Sparrow for 2 healing charges or Distant Counter for mixed phase fun. I will also mention Attack and Speed Ideal 4 because Mia's going to give herself 2 status effects. There are a lot more fun things for Mia to run. If you truly want to outspeed, she can run Low Speed and Defense and Attack and Speed Menace. Pretty nasty combo is Tempo with Breath Sacred Seals. You get 2 charges every single action against guard, and this could let Mia proc something like Aether. I don't think it's the best option, but Mia can make it work. If you prefer to keep Flashing Blade 4, she can run Dragon Fang like we mentioned, or you can get 2-hit Gale Force procs. Tempo is another strong benefactor to this playstyle. If you drop Tempo, then Mia could run Windsweep, and she could also be fine with something like Desperation or Frenzy. All in all, very solid stuff from Mini Mia, although it's clear more and more super strong sword masters are gonna keep coming out. Mia has some ways to combat other speed demons thanks to Phantom Speed, but this is mainly for activating something like Dodge. Again, Phantom Speed isn't real speed, so I wouldn't suggest using the Sacred Seal version on top of it. Just grab a real speed boosting skill. Because 3 super fast sword infantry units in the last 2 banners wasn't enough, let's add a 4th one. Mia is going to get her speed challenge with her future boss because Duo Ike and Mist are also bringing the speed. Just like last banner, we have double sword master type units. Duo Ike is going to have 40 HP, 42 attack, 42 speed, 32 defense, and 26 res, attack and speed super boons, and maybe this is the Ike that became Fallen Ike. Compared to Mia, Ike trades 1 speed for 1 attack, and he has 1 less res. While he may be another speedy sword infantry unit, he does bring his own playstyle to differentiate himself from Mia and other sword masters. For old skills, Duo Ike has Radiant Aether, which is just the 4 cooldown Aether. He then has Null Disrupt 3 and Joint Drive Attack. Those are some interesting choices for a unit like this. Ike's weapon is the sturdy war sword. It has 60 might and grants another +3 attack for a total of 61 attack. At start of combat, if Ike has 1 in 25% HP, he gets +5 to all stats, and if his attack triggers special normally, then he gets effects based on the number of allies within 4 spaces. Before we dive into this, basically I believe Ike has to use an offensive special, so no defensive specials, no miracle, and I don't think Gale Force works either. This weapon is tailor-made for a Radiant Aether. With that in mind, if Ike has 1 nearby ally before his first attack, he's going to get special cooldown count -X, with X being 50% of the max special cooldown value, rounded down. If he has 2 nearby allies, he reduces foes damage for 1 hit by X%. This time X is equal to his special cooldown value times 10. Last, if Ike has 3 nearby allies, he gets no follow-up 3. It's a bit confusing, but let's think about this with Radiant Aether as a 4 cooldown special. 50% of 4 is 2, so before Ike makes his first move, he immediately gets -2 cooldown. This is a brand new ability, and yes, it can trigger special if you charge it up. If you run 2 or 3 cooldown specials, Ike's only going to get 1 cooldown because it rounds down. For the second part, 4 times 10 is 40% damage reduction for 1 hit. Unlike dodge, no speed checks involved, but this is a one-time deal. Ideally, Ike only gets hit 1 time because he has a lot of speed plus no follow-up. This is a very neat weapon, and the force space range for allies is massive. For their dual skill, Ike and Mist are going to inflict -7 attack and speed and guard on foes within 5 rows or 5 columns centered on them. They also inflict +2 special count on those foes. This is rather powerful, and again, it has a massive range. While -7 attack and speed and guard is awesome for Ike, he straight up has on-demand pulse tie effects. This can mess with hardy fighter defensive specials, and guard can help them from charging it during combat. Same idea applies to units pre-charging high cooldown specials like, say, Sonya or Ophelia. Now, like even or odd pulse tie, this +2 special count doesn't affect 1 cooldown specials with times pulse. This is because on the next enemy phase, times pulse is going to activate again, so you have to use this dual skill, then immediately attack on your player phase. Still, it's a very nice ability to have on hand, and remember, you can use dual skills at any point. If your team gets into a fight and you end up charging the enemy special a little bit, you can proc this dual skill to reset them a little. Now, Duo Ike and Mist bring 1 new inheritable skill, and that's Distant Dart. It's Distant Counter, and if the foe initiates, you get +5 speed during combat. You may be asking, don't we already have this with Distant Pressure? Well, Distant Dart grants a speed boost in the enemy phase only. Pressure grants +5 speed during the player phase as well at the cost of recoil damage. High speed units love speed for either phase, so it's not a clear winner. Distant Dart is best for pure enemy phase type builds since you don't lose HP, and it does work with Darting Breath quite nicely. With all this in mind, what does Duo Ike do compared to the usual fast sword infantry units? Well, like Hector is to Distant Counter or Micaiah is to Duo Effectiveness, Ike is all about Aether. He has good speed with no follow-up and damage reduction, but he pairs it with Distant Dart for Distant Counter. You then have Null Disrupt and Joint Drive Attack, both pretty defensive pairings for DC. This time, Ike's Aether gimmick is being able to get that 2 charge right before he attacks. Without investing in other skills, you can run Darting Breath, and this means Ike's gonna get 2 cooldown when he gets hit. This leaves Radiant Aether on 2 cooldown, so before Ike counters, he charges it up and thus counters with Aether. While Ike can proc Aether on his second hit normally, it's usually best to instantly counter with Aether because you don't heal from overkill damage. With this setup, Ike's gonna get 56 speed, no follow-up, 40% damage reduction, and like mentioned, he counters with Radiant Aether immediately. Null Disrupt can handle fire sweep effects, sorry Soren, and then Joint Drive Attack is just more damage. While all of this is good, there are actually multiple ways to proc Radiant Aether fast. If you run times pulse instead, each player phase is going to put it on a 3 cooldown. Ike's going to take a hit for 1 charge, and Sturdy War Sword then gives you 2 charges before his first attack. There's a third option with Special Spiral. It takes more effort to proc Radiant Aether the first time, but after combat it's gonna go back to 2 cooldown. Unlike Time's Pulse, this means on the player phase, Ike can initiate and Sturdy War Sword charges Radiant Aether for his first attack. The Darting Breath setup can also do this, since if Ike has to make a second attack after Aether goes off, that's gonna put him on 2 cooldown afterwards. The benefits of Special Spiral is that you can run a higher stat booster like Attack and Speed solo, or maybe defensive res skill. Very interesting options to get Radiant Aether faster, but without inheriting anything, Darting Breath is the easiest option. Funny enough, I actually think Ike is better with Distant Pressure than Dart. Similar to Brave Marth, Ike can actually heal thanks to spamming Aether. Of course, that's a lot of investment for 5 more speed on the player phase. If you don't think Ike needs speed with this playstyle, you could build more defense and res. Remember, he doesn't have dodge on his weapon. It's a straight 40% damage reduction with Radiant Aether. It's possible for Ike to run this setup with something like with Ignis instead, stack enough defense, and the Ignis proc could outdamage Aether at the cost of no healing. If you wanted to run this setup, you could do something like low attack and defense with Steady Breath. It also mentions, or I also mentioned Tempo in the B slot because you don't necessarily need no C Disrupt. Obviously, there are units like Young Soren though, so it has its uses. Honestly, I could run dodge B skills as well, it's up to you. Now what about Vital Astra? Ike isn't going to have it on 1 cooldown, but hey, he charges it with Sturdy War Sword, right? Well, the damage portion is completely fine for Ike. To get dodge, you must pre-charge Vital Astra before you step into combat. Ike can't run Time's Pulse like Mia. Additionally, Sturdy War Sword scales with max cooldown value, so Ike wouldn't get, or he's not going to get 2 charges, he would only get -1 charge. He also goes from 40% damage reduction to 20%. Again, it's obvious they want you to run Duo Ike with Radiant Aether. Generally speaking, Duo Ike and Mist are pretty similar to Fallen Ike as a fast Aether spamming unit. However, instead of Unity for handling debuffs, Duo Ike has no follow-up and the very interesting pre-attack special charge. He has damage reduction as well with lots of B skill options, and you also have the dual skill, which not only inflicts nice debuffs and guard, but you can help deal with pre-charging special teams. We may have 2 Swordmaster infantry units on the banner, but Ike and Mia have their own playstyles they can each specialize for. That'll be it for this banner breakdown. Another year, another group of superpowered kids, and another time where I get suckered into summoning. Fun banner with some fun Tellius characters, so good luck if you plan to summon for them. For those saving arms, we have the Tempest Trials going on, and you can get Boyd, who has been waiting a long time to get into Fae. He's got some fun perks to talk about, so go grab him for the Tempest Trials. I'll be talking about him next video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.